Sources tell us they were looking through boxes of evidence involving Craig Price's case, including looking at some of his old clothing. With this added time, Price has about 13 years to serve at the ACI. The judge also ordered he undergo psychiatric treatment. So again, health officials say the topsoil does not pose any problems, but the park will remain closed. That's because health officials want to dig deeper to check that soil to make sure it does not pose a health risk. We are live in St. Louis. We will be here Sunday night to bring you all the action. Back to you in the studio. Yeah, they're
Valentine's Day, and you are still our resident Cupid, aren't you?
Well, happy Valentine's Day.
Slings of arrows.
Some people do feel that all of this is just a nuisance, that these days Christmas is coming way too early. But other people say it gets them going on their shopping and really puts them in the holiday mood. So what do you think? Can I milk this for the next 2 months? The lights are out, the signs are down, dresses are gone, shoes scattered. A handwritten note that says closed, along with a piece of paper naming Aurea D'Souza as the owner, are the few pieces of evidence that indicate Nina's bridal salon ever existed on Reservoir Avenue in Cranston.
I have my wedding in 15 days.
Cranston attorney Patricia Murray is wondering what happened to her gown and 3 wedding party dresses. Tuesday, she drove by and realized the shop was cleaned out.
I parked and I looked inside and realized it had a closed sign.
What did you think when you realized the store was vacant?
I went into a panic.
Patricia says she paid owner Aurea D'Souza $2,400 and was promised the dresses by Thursday.
She doesn't care what happens to her brides. I mean, she just leaves you in the lurch.
This is not the first time brides have been upset. In June, 12 News investigated several consumer complaints. D'Souza admitted she sold sample and fake dresses to customers.
This dress sounds like a big diaper.
This is about all that's been left behind at the salon, a few gowns and a pair of shoes. The landlord of the building tells us D'Souza moved out over the weekend, and she has not seen or heard from her since. She also tells us that D'Souza had a few years left on her lease. At the hair salon across the street, employees say since Monday, several brides have come to the salon.
There's been about 5 to 10 people coming in here trying to hunt her down.
She has stolen, I've already paid for the dresses, and she took them.
Patricia realizes she may never get her money back, but did file a fraud complaint with police.
Did you make it with a check?
She's got to pay for it somehow. If I can get her from ever opening up a salon, either in Rhode Island or anywhere else, that's my goal.
It just freaked her right out. He should be charged as a sex offender. You're saying that she's a liar. That's the way I feel right now.
This West Warwick mother also feels the innocence of her 11-year-old daughter has been shattered, and she blames 26-year-old James Alderman, a former babysitter. Last August, Alderman was charged with 11 counts of second-degree child molestation involving 4 children.
Handcuffed her to the bed and wrapped her feet around him and used the shackles and laid on top of him.
Yesterday, without a trial, Alderman was released from prison. He pled guilty to 9 counts of simple assault. This mother says she never agreed to the reduced charges.
I said it was bullshit.
The Attorney General's office did not want to talk about this case on camera, but did say they spoke with all of the custodial parents involved and all agreed to the simple assault charges. They also say they spoke with his mother last Wednesday. When you found out that he was out of prison, were you scared?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Alderman's attorney says he is not a threat, that he is troubled and vulnerable. Both the courts and state recognize that he is not a pedophile, but that is little comfort to this mother.
It really hurts. It tears me upside. I'll either go out there and kill him.
She believes her daughter's childhood has been taken away. Laura Clarizio, 12 News.
When teens felt that the poor conditions in their Providence High School were not being addressed, they turned to 12 News. 12 News reporter Laura Clarizio took their tape to the administration and got results.
Mary Ring claims she was brutally attacked and set on fire last year, but not everyone accepts her story. Now she speaks for the first time in an exclusive interview with 12 News reporter Laura Clarizio.
Did you do this to yourself?
12 News reporter Laura Clarizio takes us on an exclusive trip to the Big Apple as she goes behind the scenes on Emerald Live.
Excitement fills the New York City studio.
We're psyched.
A packed audience at the Metropolis gets revved up while they wait for Chef Emerald Lagasse. The Fall River native has put the back into cooking, And this crowd, including myself, are ready for some fun. All right, we're all set. We're ready.
We're ready to go.
The 39-year-old trained at Johnson in Wales, and he's come a long way. His TV show Emerald Live is a huge success. Behind the scenes, Emerald gets pumped. Next to cooking, he loves to golf. As the crowd gets louder, Emerald does his pre-show dance. There's a lot of work ahead. On this day, he's taping 5 shows. Hundreds of technical and food staff help make it all possible, plus a little help from above. Emerald certainly has charisma, but in his younger days, he says he was just one of the boys. What were you like as a kid in Fall River?
I was a tough guy, you know.
These days, his fans can't get enough of him. Emerald credits his mother, Hilda, who taught him how to cook at age 7. Back then, he kept that passion a secret from his friends.
You know, I didn't really go to the corner and say, hey, guys, you know, I made a great vegetable soup today, you know.
Yeah,
So,
you're very
you just
masculine.
that wasn't happening like in the early 70s.
It's definitely happening now. Emerald has numerous restaurants, 4 cookbooks, and tickets to a show are almost impossible to come by. That's because the fun never stops, even during commercial breaks. Off camera, the audience gets to drink and sing a little. Emerald gets to dance some more, and for those who don't get to sample food, he throws them a treat. There wasn't always this much excitement. In the beginning, the show was taped, and that's when he came up with his catchword, BAM.
And then all of a sudden, you know, it would be very quiet and we'd do the show and, you know, mushrooms are like this and bam, all of a sudden, so I could wake everybody up.
On this set, no one is sleeping. They kick it up a notch.
I'll be screaming for ice cream.
Despite his fame, he hasn't forgotten his Fall River roots.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah?
I gotta have some charisse and kale soup. You ever been to the St. John's Club?
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe we'll go there, you know. Maybe we'll have some codfish cakes.
We could do that.
Okay.
His dynamic personality makes Emerald Live more than just a cooking show. His energy and warmth is contagious.
Oh, look at how cute.
From the looks of this crowd, I think they agree.
We love you guys. Keep watching. Thank you.
In New York City, Laura Clarizio, 12 News.
He was sentenced to life in prison for killing Victoria Cushman. 12 News reporter Laura Clarizio has the exclusive interview.
People have a right to expect more from a police officer. We're supposed to be a symbol, and people saw that I had flaws. I drank too much, I chased women, and it counted against me, and rightly so. But I was just a kid.
Jeffrey Scott Hornoff is no longer a kid and could spend most of his adult years locked away. In June of 1996, a jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. 12 people agreed that in August of 1989, the 26-year-old used a fire extinguisher to bludgeon to death 29-year-old Victoria Cushman. With his attorney and a special investigator at his side, Hornoff for the first time publicly speaks about Victoria Cushman.
It wasn't that we were lovers or she was my mistress. We were friends. I've never denied that. We were friends and we made a mistake. We shared intimacies, and it happened twice.
Victoria Cushman's body was found in her Maple Street apartment in Warwick. That day, police discovered this unopened letter addressed to Hornoff.
Vicky said that she knew that there couldn't be anything between us, but she wanted to keep seeing me. And that's basically all the letter said.
And she never threatened to tell your wife?
No, she didn't.
During the trial, his defense attorney argued the state had a weak case, saying there was no physical evidence linking Hornoff to the crime.
I don't believe that.
The state, however, stands behind the evidence and conviction.
12 independent people hearing the evidence without any bias whatsoever convicted Mr. Hornoff based on the evidence which they heard. And if they didn't feel that way, they wouldn't have convicted him.
People have seen me represented by the prosecutor as this dark, sinister person who could take a life.
Hornoff says he is not a violent person and recalls a situation on duty where he says he could not harm a suspect.
We had a tip that a couple of guys were going to rob a night depositor. And it turned out a guy pointed a gun at me. I couldn't shoot him. I'm glad he didn't shoot me, but I'm not a taker of life.
But many believe he is, including Victoria's father.
What gave him the feeling that he had the right to do something like this?
Robinson Cushman did not want to go on camera for this story, but as in the past, says he still believes Hornoff took his daughter's life. State police, Warwick police, jurors, prosecutors say you did this. Could all those people be wrong?
They are wrong. They looked at me so long and so hard that they convinced themselves I didn't kill Vicky.
That's the same thing he told his superior officers. However, when first questioned, he denied the affair.
I didn't admit to my being intimate with her because I didn't want it being tape recorded at the time. I felt that if my wife was going to find out about it, I wanted to tell her.
It is still unclear if Hornoff was ever taped. And what jurors were not allowed to hear because of Rhode Island law is that he took a polygraph the same night he was questioned.
They came back that I was being truthful.
Truthful as to what?
As to, I had involvement with Vicky. I had sexual relations, but I didn't kill her.
But the credibility of how the polygraph was administered has come into question, along with the department's handling of the investigation. As a result, state police took over. In 1992, 3 years after the murder, Hornoff was arrested.
Because I cheated on my wife doesn't mean I'm a killer. I'm not.